Welcome to another edition of Don Hammond's Arlington Weekly News. Once again, I'm doing a variety of different character voices because, frankly, I get tired of just listening to myself. Here's the lineup for this week. The news, of course, Community Bulletin Board, and 55 Plus News. That's pretty much the show. Now here's the social media reminder. You can watch us on YouTube at Arlington Weekly News and the number 1, also on Facebook, and you can listen on the radio at WERA 96.7 FM. Now, on to the news.
Here's some very local news. It's time to celebrate 5 years of community radio in Arlington. Yes, 5 years ago, Arlington Independent Media launched WERA 96.7 FM with the firm belief that our friends and neighbors in Arlington deserved their own radio station. We felt that commercial radio stations weren't doing enough to cover the events, people, stories, and culture that define one of the most diverse and innovative communities in the country. We believe WERA producers have filled that void with thousands of hours of entertaining, innovative, and uniquely local programs that can't be created anywhere else. WERA is currently holding its Winter Fund Drive, so please help us celebrate our 5th birthday by making a tax-deductible gift that will help support local voices in your community for years to come. Just go to WERA.FM and click the donate button in the upper right-hand corner. It only takes a minute, but it will allow us to continue to bring distinctively local voices to the airwaves. We simply can't do it without your support. Thank you. Meanwhile, as of Sunday evening, November 29th, reports show the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Arlington had reached 6,260. Regular viewers and listeners will note the intensified increase in our reported case numbers. In a somewhat related story, a couple of weeks ago, we reported the cancellation of this year's Wreaths Across America observation at Arlington Cemetery due to concerns about the COVID pandemic. Last week, we read that a presidential tweet had ordered the event take place, but that the organizers were uncertain how it could be managed safely. Indeed, it probably couldn't, but a newly announced approach will at least mitigate the risk to the general public. Here is the statement from the cemetery management. Unfortunately, including the general public is not possible during the pandemic, and the cemetery will be closed to the public from December 13th to 19th. This year's event will be a multi-day, phased plan involving family pass holders, the Military District of Washington, soldiers from the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, also known as the Old Guard, and the Wreaths Across America organization. This approach will enable these partners to safely lay and recover approximately 267,000 wreaths at Arlington National Cemetery and Soldiers and Airmen's Home National Cemetery.
The press release provides additional detail, which we will now quote. We developed this plan to balance our security posture and health and safety requirements with the desire to allow limited in-person participation. Therefore, family pass holders of those interned at ANC and Soldiers and Airmen's Home National Cemetery will be able to lay wreaths in person at designated times. Members of the general public can take part in this year's National Wreath Day in a virtual setting. This plan enables us to preserve our capability to execute our primary mission to bury our nation's service members and their eligible family members with the honor and dignity the American people have come to expect from Arlington National Cemetery. Event schedule. Sunday, December 13th. Family pass holders only will be welcomed to lay wreaths at their loved ones' graves from 8 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. The cemetery will be closed to the general public. Monday through Friday, December 14th through 18th, the cemetery will be closed to the general public, enabling the MDW and TOG soldiers to safely place wreaths on graves while ANC simultaneously conducts over 100 funerals during the week. Family pass holders are welcome to visit the cemetery daily from 8 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. to place their private wreaths flowers. Saturday, December 19th. A small group of Wreaths Across America team members will place wreaths in a designated section of the cemetery, and the National Wreath Day event will be broadcast for the public to experience. The broadcast link and time will be available closer to the event. Family pass holders are welcome to visit the cemetery from 8 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. to place their private wreaths or flowers. During the week of December 13th to 19th, the cemetery will be closed to the general public. Sunday, December 20th, the cemetery will reopen to the public. Visitors are welcome to place graveside tributes of privately purchased wreaths or flowers in accordance with our floral policy. Arlington National Cemetery is complying with the Department of Defense directives and supplemental Force Health Protection guidance for the novel coronavirus outbreak, and with current Centers for Disease Control and Prevention guidance for this virus. The health protection of our workforce and our visitors is a top priority, and ANC maintains our commitment to honor the nation's veterans who rest on these iconic grounds.
For many people, the Thanksgiving holiday weekend was a slow time. However, there were other people who kept busy. Here are some recent police reports. Carjacking in the 2000 block of South Fern Street. At approximately 1:51 p.m. on November 26th, police were dispatched to the report of an armed robbery. Upon arrival, it was determined that the victim parked and exited her vehicle, then observed the male suspect walk past her. The victim walked away from her vehicle, then returned to retrieve her belongings. As she reapproached the vehicle, the suspect turned around and ran towards her. The suspect displayed a firearm and demanded the victim's keys. The suspect took the victim's keys and fled in her vehicle prior to police arrival. The unoccupied vehicle was later recovered in Prince George's County, Maryland. The suspect is described as a black male in his 40s, of medium build, approximately 5 feet 8 inches tall, wearing a black t-shirt, blue jeans, mirrored glasses, with short hair. The investigation is ongoing. Weapons violation. At approximately 8:45 p.m. on November 28th, police received a license plate reader alert for a vehicle traveling with stolen license plates. Officers observed the vehicle and, with the assistance of Virginia State Police, conducted a traffic stop. During the course of the investigation, officers determined that the driver was suspended and recovered a concealed weapon. Eric McDonald, 45, of no fixed address, was arrested and charged with felon in possession of a concealed weapon, receiving stolen goods, and no operator's license. He was held on no bond. On a lighter note, it's time for more of our long-time seasonal feature, another part of the Leaf Collection Report, or, as Old Ben calls it, the Suck Truck Cometh. The next neighborhoods visited by the Arlington Leaf Collection will be, from December 10th through December 15th, Arlington East Falls Church, Arlington Forest, Arlington Heights, Arlington Ridge, Arlingwood, Buckingham, Chain Bridge, Columbia Forest, Dover Crystal, Rivercrest, Riverwood, and Yorktown. Then from December 15th through December 19th, Bellevue Forest, Country Club Hills, Donaldson Run, Gulf Branch, Maywood, Old Glebe, Rock Spring, Williamsburg, and Woodmont. And that concludes Arlington's Leaf Collection schedule for 2020. That also concludes the news. Now it's time for Community Bulletin Board, or CBB.
Hi, and welcome to CBB. Here's an event for adults and kids in 6th grade and above. It's a virtual book discussion of All the Birds in the Sky by Charlie Jane Anders. An ancient society of witches and a hipster technological startup go to war in order to prevent the world from tearing itself apart. To further complicate things, each of the group's most promising followers, Patricia, a brilliant witch, and Lawrence, an engineering wunderkind, may just be in love with each other. As the battle between magic and science wages in San Francisco against the backdrop of international chaos, Lawrence and Patricia are forced to choose sides, but their choices will determine the fate of the planet and all mankind. This sci-fi book club meets the second Wednesday night of each month. New members are always welcome. You don't have to read the book to join, but it's encouraged. RSVP on the library website or on Meetup for an event reminder. For more information, contact Gaby at GSANTAOLLA@arlingtonva.us or just call 703-228-6319. That's coming up on Wednesday, December 9th from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. And yes, this is a virtual event. Next up, which bird visitors can you expect to see in Arlington this winter? And what can you do to support them during the coldest months of the year? Here's a chance for the whole family to find out, and the whole family is welcome, but the program is developed for an adult audience. They will email you a link to Microsoft Teams before the program start time, and they do ask that you have your device ready to go before the start of the program. Registration is required. For information, call 703-228-3403. You can register online or call 703-228-4747. Just mention activity number 622841-H. That's coming up on Wednesday, December 9th from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. This is another virtual event. This next event is another chance for teens to go outside and ride. Teens aged 11 to 17 can come take a bike ride with the Office for Teens. It's getting close to winter, so dressing for the weather is recommended. I know, nag, nag, nag. Register online or call 703-228-4747 and mention activity number 782 018-93. That's on Thursday, December 10th from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m. at Bon Air Park, 850 North Lexington Street. Anyway, it is a real event. And speaking of real events, here's a chance to not only get outside, but also to do some real good for the community. It's called RIP, Remove Invasive Plants, this time at Gulf Branch. Now this is for adults, teens, and families with kids aged 8 and up. Want to restore habitat and increase species diversity right here in Arlington? Work parties are held every month. They are making a real difference with the return of ferns and wildflowers and the animals that depend on them in areas once covered in destructive invasive plants. You can help make that happen. For information, you can call 703-228-3403. But they say registration is not required. There isn't even an activity number to worry about. Just show up on Saturday, December 12th from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. at Gulf Branch Nature Center and Park, 3608 North Military Road. Now it's time for 55 Plus News.
Howdy, and welcome to 55 Plus News. We're going to start with something quite serious. It's called Art That Resonates, the Migration Series. Renowned black artist Jacob Lawrence's outstanding Migration Series recounts the Great Migration as African Americans moved from the South to the North in the early 20th century. Lawrence's epic work greatly expanded the public's interest in the African American experience. Dr. Lenitra Berger, Senior Director of Fellowships at George Mason University, will discuss these remarkable paintings and how the themes depicted, including lynchings, police violence, and economic opportunity, are reflected in contemporary struggles for justice and equality. You can register online or call 703-228-4747. That's activity number 912302-1, and it's coming up on Wednesday, December 9th from 12 o'clock noon to 1 o'clock p.m. This is a virtual event. Next up, we have an old-fashioned game with a brand new purpose. It's called Energy Masters Bingo. You can join the Virginia Cooperative Extension and Eco Action Arlington for an informative energy efficiency bingo game and learn how to be a good steward of energy this winter. Register online or call 703-228-4747, and that's activity number 912601-4. It's coming up on Thursday, December 10th from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock a.m. This is another virtual event. Next up, it's called Elder Abuse, Understanding and Responding. Learn how to support a friend you are concerned about, how to prevent scams, and what community resources are available to combat elder abuse. Sydney Palinkas from the Elder Safe Center will discuss elder abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation. Now, just between you and me, I'd also suggest that you encourage a friend of your own to participate so they can act in case something happens to you. Register online or call 703-228-4747. That's activity number 912400-7, and it's coming up on Thursday, December 10th from 11 o'clock a.m. to 12 noon. and this is yet another virtual event. Have you had enough of all these virtual events? You want to get outside and do something real? Well then, you can join a morning walk with Aurora Hills Fast Forwards. This faster-paced group walks a 2 to 3 mile loop, including some hills. Register online or call 703-228-4747, and that's activity number 912-201-1. It's coming up on Friday, December 11th from 9 o'clock to 10:30 a.m. at Aurora Hills Community Center, 735 18th Street South. Well, that's about enough 55 plus news. The county board took off the day after Thanksgiving, so there was no town hall meeting. I wonder what else was going on.
There was some progress in the area. For one thing, the county patched the gap on North George Mason Drive so that cyclists can now use their lane safely. Otherwise, we spent some time reflecting on musical performances from prior shows before the studio had to be closed for COVID, and decided that this would be a good time to bring back one of them. And so we now present Jorge Serafin performing his original composition, My Last Promise. And that concludes this week's show. We will be back next week with more news from Arlington. Meanwhile, be careful, be safe, and be well. But that is not all, folks. We have a little slideshow called Out and About from the last 2 days of November. The Christmas lights are popping up. Here's one where they decided to decorate an existing tree. This next one is more elaborate and surrounds the yard, including a trellis over the front entrance. Some were content with fairly simple displays involving well-known licensed figures. Others favored a more textured approach. Some of them seem to be simply practical, as in, follow the lights and this will take you up the scary stairs into the house where it's safe. Here are some incarcerated figures. This one is on a grand scale. This one has illuminated reindeer and a fairly grand scheme. Candy canes and other accoutrements. And a very bright but simple two-toned affair. And there were those who simply decorated without using electricity. What it all adds up to? Well, since it wasn't even December yet, I think it's an expression of everyone's desire for the year 2020 to hurry up and be over. And this really is the end of the program for this week. We will be back next week with more news from Arlington. There's nothing left but the closing credit at the very end. Thanks to Arlington Independent Media. And don't forget to support WERA-FM.